Beautiful. All right, here's the hero tool out of the gate. 65.05 on SPX is the big dog level, which we're opening right into. Right into. So we'll see how this responds. Obviously, we have the high volume here right out of the gate. We have this relentless bull trend that's been forming now since the 3C bounce that occurred initially at 4 o'clock this morning Eastern, and then, of course, the final bounce at 5:22, and we've now been in about a 120-point bull trend without a pullback. So the bulls continue to take it, baby. Now, think about this. All signs point to some bearishness going into the end of the week. Knowing that, do you think they're going to dump it too fast, too hard today? No. So just watch it. All I'm really going to say is that watch the 3C setups. The 3C setups have been proving quite reliable, very reliable. And watching for the high volume is really going to lead you to the promised land here. So only buy the dip until you see the high volume, and then if you start to see obviously the signs of the sun climax, will take it back over. But right now, the bull trend continues, baby, up, and away. The strongest bull trend in history continues as we are now opening to new all-time highs both on the S&P and NASDAQ. So hope you all had a fantastic weekend because it's going to be a great week. So far, put buying is coming into the plate right here. Large green candles. We are already 24,206. We're 40 points higher at the open than we were. Still going, baby. Still going. It's crazy stuff. $24,203, baby. Options right now, we have 81 million in calls. We have 236 million in puts out of the gate. So we'll see what we're going to do with this. This thing can still go and is still going. How far is it going to take us? Squeezing, baby. Squeezing. Is the stream supposed to be visible on Discord? It is visible. Yeah, so go down to the bottom. You'll see the, right now I'm showing Discord or Bookmap, but I'll switch over to the charts here in a second. We don't really have any news today, so today the news is quite light. Very weak news today. As we head into a very landmine-ridden week of catalysts. What's up, Blitz? How you doing? Dova, Jonathan, Doberman, Zoilus, how you doing? So 230 million in puts, 130 million in calls. We are down to 200 here. We'll see what they're going to do with all this fun stuff. We do have possibly a little too much too fast opportunity today to take, but obviously no shorting for me until I see a selling climax and the appropriate conditions to really start looking for some fun activity. That's right. Y'all see that chart I posted, Saturday? So back in 2009, after the great financial crisis, the S&P bounced at 666. And that was the lowest we've been since 2009. And literally, they had bounced, and then obviously here we are, 20 years later. And what a coincidence would it be if SPX hit 6666, and that was a top for all of this crazy stuff. That would be a little coincidental, a little weird. I'll be watching this carefully. If we start to flush, I'll defend early. Nice. Well, right now they are starting to buy some puts. We do need to be very careful about any kind of shorting. If you're going to short, then please make sure you have volume to support your thesis, because this is in a very aggressive bull trend. 24,200 right here. Tesla is up 7%. 7%. 24,205 NASDAQ. Still going. Let's take a look at Bookmap. Bookmap has liquidity up to 24,250, which is another 45 points higher. 24,207. ES is 66.12. The S&P is not performing quite as strong as NASDAQ here. You know, NASDAQ is flying pretty good. Yes, they are neck and neck in terms of percentages, but the S&P is, for almost, you know, pretty much right smack dab in the middle of the range. NASDAQ is about to break out to new highs here. So very, very strong NASDAQ, of course. They do put liquidity down to 24,100 on NASDAQ, but we still have the big fat stuff up at 24,250. So my thesis still continues, man. It still remains that we just have to be very much ready for anything and then trust the volume. Trust the volume. Trust the volume, baby. Must be something with the settings of my Discord. What do y'all expect this week after post FOMC into OPEX and whatnot? 24,200. What do we got? 24,2, 24,19. Just chilling. Couple of different little bitty small red candles here. Our overall, this today is expected to be way tighter than the rest of it. In fact, Spot Gamma says this is the lowest IV they've ever seen on the SPX. So what does that tell you in terms of expectations of market movement? Be very delicate on trying to play breakouts and breakdowns. You know what I mean, bro? Volume seems very low today. It is, yeah. It is. 24,200 and a large green candle coming up on NASDAQ. Nutty stuff, bro. Am I in the September futures contract? Negative. I'm not switching over to September until TradingView does and or the volume does. Simply because it's a pain in the butt to have to reference TradingView and then make the correction on the stream. So when TradingView switches, I'll switch. Simple as that. What's up, Dan? How you doing, buddy? Hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. Looks like we're still going up here. There's no signs of shorting, of course. Just ride the snake all the way up. Ride the snake. What's up, Red Ha? How you doing? Great to see you again, Gavin. How you doing? Good morning. My thesis for this week is going to be bullishness until around FOMC. I don't know when. Could be the day of, could be the day after, but then we're going to have some selling into the close. At least that's the obvious look. That's the obvious take, and it seems to be the popular take. Now, what happens when the popular take enters the market? They typically like to smoke that and do the opposite thing, or they'll continue to bull it up, 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 and away until people stop shorting or get smoked, and then they're going to drop it. So all I'm saying here is that continue to be skeptical of any bull move or bear move, until you have supported volume. That's all I'm saying. All right, a little bit of breakout here. We have a spike on volume on the 1 minute. Let's see what happens. Maybe a little push up to 250 here, and then we'll get a top wick. But nice bull move here, up, up, and away. Same status quo we've been seeing now for forever. Where's liquidity on ES? Liquidity on ES is all lower. Liquidity on NASDAQ is all lower except for 250. Except for 250. Top wick back over. What's up, Kennedy? How you doing, buddy? Am I safe trading the NASDAQ one on TradingView? Need a futures. Yes, of course. I don't trade on TradingView. I only do, if you've got your brokerage link to trade on TradingView, I can't speak to that. All I know is that, whenever the NQ1 exclamation or the ES1 exclamation switches over to September contracts or December contracts, that's when I will switch. Alrighty, still coming up here. 24,220 up, up, and away. No shorting until we have a high volume spike, preferably outside of the first 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes is momentum, baby. And they are pumping this train down the tracks until 24,250. 24,250. Cold, I guess, but also a good workout. Yeah, you got to sweat that stuff out, baby. What storm are we anticipating? This volatility. That's what I'm referencing when I said storms on the horizon. Is volatility. I'm not indicating necessarily officially bullishness or bearishness, just straight volatility. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. We're 4 minutes away from my 9:45 time frame. Today is the lightest day of catalyst of the day. Actually, that's not true. Friday is extreme low volatility in terms of catalyst. Nothing there. But today we have nothing at the top of the hour. We have 3-month bond auction 11:30. Other than that, nothing. Yeah. So 24,222 Nasdaq looks like they want to grab that 250. 250, baby. We'll see what they can do. No shorting unless you see a selling climax outside of the first 15 minutes. That's what I'm looking for. And even then, I'm not really looking to short. Not today, at least. Not today. Everybody do any fun this weekend? Here we go. 223, another green candle. What are they going to do? Went to the beach with the Mrs. Nice, Ben. Very cool. I just saw Trump is supposed to meet with the Fed. I didn't see when before the post went away. Lots of gardening and yard work. Heck yeah, baby. Palmetto Gun Show. Oh, man, I'd love to go there. My weekend's been rough. My 6-year-old German Shepherd is very sick. Uh-oh. Sorry to hear that, Hal. Tried blue meth, now just... Oh, my gosh. Jets game. Very cool. Always fun stuff. Could you apply to the 3 C's to any ticker? Yes, you can. Anything that has volume on it, which is everything, can be applied with the 3 C's. All you have to do, though, you just make sure you're going to like learn and become familiar with the intricacies of that name. What time does it tend to move? Is it more of a bullish or bearish product? That type of thing. Painting, very cool. Worked with chickens and hung on my riverbanks, very cool, nice, nice. Hung out with my chickens for a little bit, yeah. They're excited for deer season. I'm going to throw the deer carcasses in their pen, let them pick on that for a while. We'll pick it clean. Whatever I'm not using, of course. Nice, Dan. 24,208. Hanging out up here. Holding short from 66.14. Nice. Pinpoint the top again, Frumple. You got a habit for doing that. It's good stuff. ES is about to smoke the whole range. NASDAQ is slowly creeping back down. Do I talk to my chickens? I do talk to my chickens. I'm like, hey, what's up, chickens? Heck, they provide me with food, baby. Creeping back over. Right here. Nothing but homework all weekend? Heck yeah. Got to get it done. You see that video where the guy makes rooster noise and his chicken respond? I did not see that. No, I did not. You talk to your chickens in English or Espanol. Yeah. All right, so we're in a 7-point range for ES. So I'd kind of stay away from that. That's a little tight. NASDAQ is going to give us a great opportunity here shortly. We are finally hit the 9:45 time frame for me. But we be just chilling, baby. We be just chilling. If we take 225, we're going to go for that 250. Of course, not barring a volume spike here. Remember, if we climb into 225 here, which is the high of NASDAQ, and you do not have any volume in there, what does that tell you? Absorption. It's absorption, and we're going higher. What's up, Azor? How you doing? I spent the weekend in NYC traffic. Now, why would you want to do that to yourself? Why would you want to go to NYC? $24,220. Chilling. I picture me doing Sopranos talking to the chickens. He's like, give me that gabagoo. My mom lives there? Ah, okay. Oh, man. Oh, we're stuck. We're stuck. I came into today's session with the mindset that I'm going to be doing less. Today is going to be probably, in my opinion, the least active day of the week. And I'm coming into this session with that thought in my mind. So I'm not going to go chasing stuff. I'm not going to freak out. We're just going to chill. And then when I see a position open up, we're going to take it. Spent the day at Yankee Stadium watching the Savannah Bandits play. Nice. Very cool. Say less, fam. For real, for real. So the 15-minute, we're presented with a couple of top wicks here. We do have a high volume spike at the 938 candle, which noted the top at about 24,225. So that is your target for either a double top, see if we can get a secondary spike in volume and or absorption, and then we're going to clear up to 250. So just watch what happens here at this morning high. The fact that they rolled this thing back over, and we were unable to retest the morning low, we're going to come up. This looks like absorption, of course. You know, things can change. But, yeah. Don't worry. I'm not going to do what everyone thinks you're going to do. I love big cities, the architecture, the all activity. Yeah. I love the trees, baby. I love the trees. Boom. All right. There is new high of the day, 227. Climbing back up with no volume. No volume, right? And here we are clearing higher. Let's go to 250. Nature's fantastic. It is. It is fantastic. 228 to 25. Let's go. What's y'all's favorite sidearm to carry? Concealed carry. He didn't say it like that. Cities are great. Yeah. Let's go, baby. I'm not a fan of SIGs. I have an SPS 75 SPO1. All right, coming up, we have absolutely nothing up for 250. Absolutely nothing over 250. If you're looking at ES, I feel like Tommy Two-Tone over here. I'm going to go get the papers, 66.15 down to 66.05 if we reject that, but it's very tight. Platinum is still hanging out in the 1400 range, which has been in for weeks. The Dow, they are top wicking here, still on a slight little downtrend. Not nearly as bullish as the S&P as NASDAQ. Silver's flat. Gold's rocket ships. Oil is still flat now for many, many hours. Here comes 234. NASDAQ still going to 25. Two of these babies. Heck yeah. Canic? I saw the new Canic, the Tehran Tactical Combat Master, their version of it, which is actually pretty affordable. I've never shot at Canic. I can't speak for them. But I don't like too small of weapons. I don't like those tiny little concealed carry weapons. So the smallest I would go is like a Glock 45 or something like that. All right, 245 still climbing here, up to 25. No shorting. No shorting. 43X is nice, yeah. Yeah. $245 to 250. No shorting. We are rocking, baby. They know we know they know what's going to happen at the end of the week. So what are they going to do? They're going to cram it down your throats. No shorting unless you have a high volume spike. I was not a fan of Glocks for many years. I was one of those dudes that hated Glocks until I shot one of them and never shot, and I couldn't deny it anymore. Couldn't deny it anymore. Blasteroni with cheese, 250. Blasteroni with cheese, baby. And a top wick. There's a 2.5 target. Liquidity. We have a high volume flow. We have a top wick. Let's see what we can do from here, baby. Great minds think alike. Should have called me when I saw it. Beautiful. I like the MAPs better. Nice. All right. We just tapped 250. That was my target, and we top tick right off of it. So there you go. There is your strategy for the session so far. Just chilling, baby. Just chilling. Chilling like a villain. Chilling like a villain. What's up, Christian? Good morning, buddy. Good morning. We have a volume spike there, right at the 951 candle with a red candle. So this is our indication. If they can hold this top wick, we might have an actionable position. We might have an actionable position. What platforms do most of you choose for TPT? I prefer Quantower for TPT. Trade Evade is awful. Trade Evade is absolutely awful. Any idea when the video about prop firms will come out? That one's going to take me a little bit because this is more of a, that one's more of like a category video where I have to go through each thing and record it properly. Not to mention pretty much every bit of that is going to be like slide style driven. So I've got a lot of editing to do. So that one's going to take a little bit. There'll be some videos that come out before then, but rise and trade, that's right. See what they could do here. Trust the process. Remember what I said last week. Every time you take a trade, I want you to tell yourself, trust the process. Trust the process. Like the spot camera video, that's right. 240. 24,270. 24,250. That's all the upside liquidity. They're putting on 2.9 now. I told y'all this morning, don't underestimate what the bulls can do at the upside of this market. It can continue to go. You do not, in my opinion, we're not ready to short yet. You only short when you have a very high confident 3C. Until then, I'm still sticking to my guns. I have a 50K that's just over the profit target with one more day to trade. What's the best way to handle this? One micro on the final day and wait for it to be funded? Yeah, so just open up one contract real quick and close it next day to hit that 5-day mark. For sure. Does Quantower connect to Fidelity? I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know. Going up here again, green candles. Here comes 255. Let's do it. I think that trade might have to be open for 1 minute. I don't know. Here we go, baby. New high of the day. There's 253. Climb it again, baby. Uh-oh. My stuff just froze. Okay, never mind. We're good. I thought I was going to have another blue screen of death. It's no bueno. Alrighty. What do we got? Be honest. Who's shorting? Be honest. Is there a price for Quantower? I believe there is, but I bought this thing like 3 years ago. I think there's a one-time software where you don't hold me to that. It's been a while. No shorting. I've been saying it for weeks, baby. No shorting. No shorting. But Quantower's copy trading sucks. It does suck. It does suck. I highly recommend do not use Quantower's copy trading software. It's absolutely awful. The only copy trader right now that I've personally used and account for is Top Steps. Of course, you can only use Top Step with Top Steps. I think there is one that what's that jabroni's name that he uses, Futures. That I can't say one way or another. I've never used it. Still climbing, baby. We have been on a relentless bull trend now since 5 o'clock this morning. Do you really want to step in front of that freight train? Buy the dips, baby. I've been saying it since June. You're on NASDAQ longs. Nice, the real Mano. Is that the real hands? The real hands? Or would that be Manos? Keep buying the dip. Heck yeah, baby. Let's keep on going, baby. You went short on gold? Love it. Still going. 260. Look at that trend line, baby. Speaking of Quantower, I can't get my Quantower to load. Anyone have any rhythmic issues today? 24,264, still going. Do y'all want bookmap? Here, I'll show you my charts. Change stream. Volume analysis. There you go. Stupid bookmap. Come on, Discord. Let's go. All right, finally changed. All right. Guilty as charged, short MES 6616. Hey, come on now. Y'all should know better. No shorting. No shorting. Now they're climbing 24,285. 24,285, baby. Have I entered any trades yet? I have. I'm currently not in one, though. Do you take profits once you hit your goal, in this case 24,2450, or do you let it ride out until you stop or else it gets hit? It depends. Sometimes I will go ahead and close out the trade. Sometimes I'll let it go. It really depends on my my setup. It depends on my thesis. It depends on my setup, how confident I am in the position, how confident I am in the data that I'll continue to go despite any kind of, disadvantageous price action. Most of the time, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a trailing stop on the position, and I'll just tighten it up as I get deeper into profit. The good side about that is that if it is a trend that continues to blow out, I'm not going to cut myself short by a target profit. I'm going to eat the whole thing. I'm going to get the whole thing. The bad side of it is typically you get less than stellar fills, especially on the sim books like all the prop firms, when the price action comes back down and fills your stop loss. Typically you get a couple of points below your stop, especially on the sims. $24,285 to the high side. $24,253. So the only thing left on bookmap to the high side is going to be up there at 285. And right now, obviously, we're not getting a lot of rejection style price action here. We're very much holding this upward range at about what 256, 260 or so. So, again, track the volume. What do we have on the 5-minute? We have a single red candle here without a true large spike in volume on the 5. So, and obviously the price action is sticking up here big time. Absolutely snipe that reversal on gold. Beautiful. What do we have on gold? High volume bottom wick there on gold. Oil is still climbing. There's no high volume on the gold on the oil, so I wouldn't really look to short that yet. Maybe when they fill up into 63.52 would be great. ES, nice little top wick. NASDAQ, small top wick. ES is definitely underperforming the S&P. They just put on a very large amount of liquidity here at 254 and then took it off. That did not fill. Still going 252. No shorting, no volume, baby. Not in my opinion. What y'all think? No, I don't need that. There we go. Never got long earlier just watching. That's all right. Trust the process. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think they're toying with us and we go higher, which means it'll probably dump. You know what? Even if they do dump it back over, it's not that big of a deal because we don't have a high volume inflow. If I had, if I have a volume candle come in up here, then I'm going to either look to get out of any kind of long bias or I'm going to actively short. Me personally, I'm not doing a lot of shorting nowadays. So if you have an incredibly high volume spike, especially if you've got an associated top wick on like the 5, take the short position, take your hands off, put on a stop loss, then take your hands off, of course, and see what happens. But until then, if they happen to dump this thing without a volume spike, then don't fret because that just means that your system is working. That's fine. So until then, just chill. Just chill. I wasn't able to get rid of my too much too fast bias, and it just cost me my pro account on TPT. Well, I appreciate your transparency. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us. Just figure out what went wrong, of course. What you did not like and did like about the trade, and write it down. Take notes for the next time. Anytime that I take a trade out of the gate, which sometimes I do take trades like that right out of the gate, position sizing goes way small. Way small. I don't want any of those type of trades to ever come close to blowing up any of my accounts. I could take a big loss on those, like 50 points, because the market opens very quickly, but it's going to be on a very small position size. So just that's why I handle things, because it's dealer's choice. Sometimes they blast it, sometimes they dump it right out of the gate. You never know. But that first 15-minute cycle is all about manipulation. It's manipulation price action because that they're adjusting out of their contract from the overnight session. By the way, now the green moved back up here. I like OM drill about stepping away to reset before trading again. Yep, definitely. I was able to get some payouts, but it still hurts a bit. Well, I highly encourage you to listen to the podcast I posted this past weekend. I encourage you to go listen to it because I talk about that exact stuff. If you are trading prop firms, this is not for personal account because it's a different mindset. When you're trading prop firms are a business. Especially if you're fortunate enough to be able to take consistent payouts. If you blow up an account, screw it. Who cares? Go get you another account. If you have a track record to show that you could depend on payouts, then who cares if you blow up another one? In fact, what I would personally do over the next 6 months is forget about any one singular payout and instead grow one single account to a funded account and then go small position sizing. Use those funds to build another account and then another and then another and then another. And you've got 5 funded accounts and then you've got 20 passed and ready to go in the ranks. And you use the payout funds to pay for that. You grow the bubble. And then, of course, maintaining proper position sizing, proper risk mitigation, small payouts to kind of pay for the evals. And then you build your empire. Treat it as a business, and you'll be paid like a business. And that way, when the day does come to blow up a funded account or whatever, who cares? Whatever. I've got 20 more waiting. So, treat it like that, and you'll start to reduce your emotions a little bit, control your emotions a little better when things go wrong. Prop firm trading's hard, dude. Prop firm trading is hard. So don't sweat it when things go wrong. Happy to report I set a limit entry near retrace of halfway from Friday's daily candle. Looks shifty. Slammed down this morning. Nice. Trust the process. Is your podcast on Apple? Not on Apple. Not yet. It's on Spotify. It's called the Making Millionaires podcast. I want to learn? Let's learn, Passy. Let's learn. There's a link to it. What's the new limit up rule? Is there a new limit up rule? I don't know. Look at that big old liquidity put down at 24,235. Cray cray. 24,235. I wonder if we'll get that. That's what, 10 points down? So it's not that big of a move down. After a double top. I just missed that. Would you mind running over that process again? I'm on week 2 of taking a break from props. I was creating unhealthy trading habits with dollar goals. I've had 3 trades on my personal account for 3 win. Going to stick to that personal this week, but do my eval. Yeah, so just, brief summary is that treat it like a business. I think it's one of the 8,000 reasons why I do not post my gains and I do not post my payouts. I just took a hefty payout this morning. I'm not posting it because it means nothing. So my role as whatever the crap this is, Discord server, is to teach you all proper practices in trading. And then I've been learning how to deal with props because props are new. I've learned props alongside with y'all. I only started doing props a couple years ago. So the way I approach it is with everything else I do in my life is that it's a business. It's very difficult because the rules are more stringent than they are with the IBKR or personal brokerage. So you've got to give yourself some slack because it's very difficult. Now the flip side is that it's a very low cost of entry. If you blow up an account, you're not blowing up $25,000. You're blowing up whatever your entry fee is, $100. So focus on one single account. Forget about 5 accounts, 20 accounts, copy trading, all that. Pick out a high quality brokerage or a prop firm like TPT or TopStep. Pass one single account, get it funded, take some payouts. Use those payouts to buy another account and then get that one passed. And another one, and so on and so forth. And it may take you 6 months where you've got 5, 6, 10 accounts that are paying you, and then you take very small payouts each. Forget about the $5, $10, $15, $20,000 payouts. And then that way, when you blow up an account, you've got a bunch more waiting behind you. And then you can start growing your business. All right, well, I can consistently showcase that I am net profitable 10 grand a month, or 5 grand a month, or 1 grand a month. Net profitable, which means after you back out the reset fees that you've paid, this is how much you've netting. And then you can start to all right, well, now I can start taking all this net profit and putting it into my brokerage account. Because you don't want to put your gross revenue in your brokerage because you still have to pay yourself back for the reset fees. And then start treating it as a business where you're not going to freak out every time something goes wrong or sometimes you blow up an account. Last week I recommended a book, but I gave you the wrong author. It's called The Big Print by Lawrence Leopard. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll definitely take a look. Can you expand on a little on what goes on if a ticker goes past its morning high or past its morning low with no volume? Okay, good question, Z-Man. This is a perfect example for that question. Let's take a look. This is the 5-minute chart. So if this is the morning high, right? My indicator says 24,265 is the morning high so far. Now this line locks at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern time. The first hour of the day, it locks. So let's call this any indication. Hold on a second. One sec. The wife is at Lowe's picking me up something. I gotta show her what I need. Hold on a second. One sec. All right, I'm back. All right, so this one, just like any resistance, there's going to be a block of supply here. All right? Any resistance, in my opinion, this is how I think about it. There's going to be supply sitting in this area of orders, selling orders. The buyer's job is to climb through that supply to continue the trend up without too much sell back off, right? So if the price action comes up and taps and we have a high volume spike, that says that we have transacted into supply. There's a ton of supply there, more so than the buyers, and it's going to cause us to roll back over. That's how things sell off, is that there's more sellers than buyers, and we drop. So if price action climbs up into these zones, and I see no volume spike down here whatsoever, that tells me that there's no more supply left. And the way the price action usually manifests like that is it'll come up and it'll stick right here. It'll just kind of top wick and bottom wick back in this relative range. And then eventually we'll have a big fly candle. It'll top back over, retest, and then we blast off. And all the while, no volume spike down here. So no volume shows continuation. High volume shows reversal. Say you pass a prop account and you blow it. When you reset it, does it go back to evaluation? It depends on, some companies allow you to reset funded accounts and not go back to evals, but it's very, very costly. I do not recommend doing that unless you have payouts you have taken to pay for that. I do not recommend paying for that out of your own pocket because it's very costly, and you have just proven that you're not ready to take payouts yet. There can't be more buyers than sellers. Transactions only take place when there are buyers and sellers. Untrue. Untrue. Market auction theory completely disagrees with that. JD Vance is doing the C. Kirk show today. Nice. 24,250 or 240 right here. If you're selling something at Walmart, let's say a widget that's appropriately priced and in high demand, and there's a line of 15,000 people standing at the door waiting to buy it, do those people not exist? Just because they're not all buying at the exact same time doesn't mean that they're not there. They're actively they're buyers, that they are liquidity. And your product is sitting on the shelf. The second you open those doors, you're going to have 15,000 active buyers. That's liquidity. That's this market auction theory. So, I mean, yeah, there you go. Walmart is an auction. Yeah, it is. Absolutely it is. Anywhere there's buying and selling is liquidity. That's all it is. Supply and demand. That's all the market is. That's why you wait for high volume spikes. Even relations are yeah. I was wondering, do I trade ES or SPY more frequently? I don't trade SPY unless I'm buying shares. I don't trade SPY options, so I'll trade ES futures or SPX options. So a little bit of red here. 24,236 looks like they want 225. Very, very slow, very, very tight price action. Here's the 1 minute. Still just creeping lower off of the 265 liquidity. I don't mind people asking questions, arguing, but I mean, there's opinions and then there's facts. I mean, I can't, there's only so much you can do, But hey, I appreciate the question. Uh, 24,241. Still chilling. No shorting for me. No shorting for me. Would you be able to continue your trading style without Bookmap? Absolutely, I would. I traded years without Bookmap. I could trade it without Spot Gamma, Bookmap, nothing. You give me just a chart with only price action and volume, I could trade it. In fact, I did a YouTube video back in the day of exactly that. So, yeah. Still coming down 225. Out of curiosity, why don't you play options on SPY? Well, I play options on SPX because of position sizing. The dollar amounts that I'm playing with on SPY, the commissions would destroy me. So 10-to-1 ratio SPX, that's why I trade SPX. This guy is spoofing like crazy up at 257. He wants that 225 first, though, looks like. But man, it's slow. It is slow, homie. It is slow. Oh, man. Still creeping down. Stephen Duck's interviews have changed the way I look at it. Instead of looking at money factors as the video game. Payouts reward for being patient with 3 C's rather than overtrading. Absolutely. Process over profits, baby. That's the way to do it. Process over profits. I've taken one single trade today. Obviously a long. And now I'm just chilling. I'm waiting for something else. I'm trying not, I'm in that mindset, of course, because I still have an hour left of my trading time. So I still have this mindset where I'd need another trade, but do I really? I know today is going to be the worst day of the week. It's going to be the worst day of the week by far. Wednesday is going to be the peak of volatility. It'll probably even carry over into Thursday, especially with OPEX, all the fun stuff. So today's just a chill day. We're going to have some conversation. Might even talk about liquidity a little more. And we're just going to chill. We're just going to chill. Think of the high volume spikes be after the fact, though. What do you mean? Would you say that for a first-time funded account user, the top step would be better since the eval is only 50? There are some pros and cons. In my opinion, Top Step is one of the best, if not the best out there. TPT is going to be a very close second, if not the best. If TPT would remove their trailing drawdown, then I would say that they would be the best because they have a daily payout structure. So it really depends on what you're looking for. High volume, hold on a second, let me pause this conversation and I'll come back to it. We'll discuss that. High volume coming in. That was a little shakeout candle that looked like one of those gotcha candles. Remember the gotcha candles? That looked like a gotcha candle. What was it? 232. 225? You're going to give me 225? There's not much liquidity at 225. That looked like a gotcha candle, didn't it, Ethan? Is that a gotcha candle? 238. Interesting. There we go. That was a gotcha candle all the way, baby. We saw 2 of those gotcha candles last week. I love it. I love it. I love the gotcha candles. It's like watching poetry, baby. It's like visual poetry. No, it would not be. Yeah, so Top Step is great. The only downside is you have to wait. There's 2 downsides. One, you have to wait 5 days to take a payout. Number 2, they cap you at $5,000, which kind of blows. I've had a credible week last week. I'd like to pull out more than $5,000, but they cap you at $5,000 per account until you take multiple payouts, and then you can obviously take the whole thing. TPT, there is no cap. For real, for real. So you could take out daily payouts every single day. Once you hit the buffer, you could take out payouts every single day, no cap. So I think in my opinion, I think TPT and Top Step are 1-2 punch for the 2 of the best in the industry. No questions asked. They don't care about your, what style of trading. They don't care if you're scalping. They don't care if you're dollar cost averaging. They don't care about any of that. You take a trade, you make money, you get paid. Shakeout candle, bottom wick with volume, VPA, 3 Cs, long opportunity, 24,251. Extraordinary. Extraordinary. There is no cap for real. That's right. Man, those shakeout candles, man. How many people just tried to short that candle and got wrecked? Got wrecked. So TPT payouts can't be taken until 2K profit. I believe so, yes, it's on the 75 accounts. It's right around in there. Right around in there, yeah. My favorite account on TPT, obviously, it doesn't matter. Once you hit all the account sizes don't matter until you've got about $5,000, I would say. Once you've got $5,000 in profit, it doesn't matter if you got the 50K account or the 150K account. But yeah, still going green, baby. Extraordinary. Do we have any? What was that right there? Oh man. Beautiful green candle. Beautiful green. Aloha Futures, what you think is what I'm on to, Hunter. Nice. No Project X. Am I still expecting bull to 66.40? I am not hitting the bear train at all. No shorts, not even looking for shorts at all until I see a selling climax in the macro. It's the reason why I've got a 94% win rate. It's the reason why this is the best trading I've done since February. It's because I'm only buying the dip. And I'm going to smack you in the face with a newspaper if you keep shorting until we have a macro thesis. Made it to the 50% mark. Nice, David. Well done, buddy. Little eggplants. Hey, how you doing? Was that a little Baba Ganoush? Little Baba Ganoush. Dan, I thought about you this weekend, buddy. There's a new place in town called Salvo's that just opened up. It's a regional chain that sells New York-style pizza. And where I live, we have no good pizza whatsoever, so we gave it a shot. Pizza was 7 out of 10, considering the area. If it was New York, it would be like a 1 out of 10. But then the garlic knots were absolutely terrible. Disgusting. They had like that jarred butter sauce on them instead of actual butter. Terrible. Like that goo. It was like yellow goo. Anyway. You open your pizzeria? I've always wanted to do that. Hey, what the crap was that? Another big volume bottom wick. That was a 30-point shake and bake candle, baby, with volume. Open one? Heck yeah, baby. There's a little place in Italy down here. The garlic nuts are fire. What was that? Not Aloha Alpha. Oh, I thought you were saying Aloha, man. I was like, hey, what's up, buddy? SPY looks like it just had a gotcha candle. Yeah, that was a gotcha candle. That was some of the highest volume we've seen today. That was the highest volume candle today, not counting the open. So there's something baked into that candle. Besant's chatting. Is it Trump? Aren't they talking right now? Aren't they talking right now? Don't gamble on that candle. Don't gamble on news headline candles. Just chill. Let's see what they're going to do with this. Relax. Just want to take some pictures. Beautiful stuff. What we got? What we got? I think Twitter has become unusable for a couple of days. It's all political nonsense. I'm trying to get some news here. Like what's Trump saying about the Fed right now? Ridiculous. 24,251 still hanging out at the top. That's a high volume bottom wick, but it looks like some sort of headline driven event. Overall, we're still pinned. So I mean, the net effect here is nothing. Net effect here is nothing. 250. Liquidity's back on to 225 ES. Nothing. Option chain right now is showing 1.03 billion in calls, 178 million in puts, so it's heavily skewed to the call side here. U.S. Treasury Secretary, the U.S. will not impose tariffs on Chinese goods for purchasing Russian oil unless European countries do the same. Interesting. Overall, that was a 16-point candle, dropped and pumped back up here, so no damage done. We're just chilling sideways at 24.25. ES is sitting 66.20. And they're piling into calls right here. Massive hammer candle. Massive hammer candle. If they could bottom wick this and get over 257 or so, I think we could finally recapture high there, the morning high. The morning high is sitting, what, 265? So that will be my target. They are smoking into 0DT calls at the moment. So we need to see it creep over 256 or so, and then we'll reattack 265. 265 will get us higher. Let me look at SPX real quick. There's a nice little hammer candle. Here comes up to 265. If they can clear this. SPX is 66.16, which is the upper echelon of all the exposure right here. CL high volume top wick. Let's see. Yeah, beautiful high volume top wick on the oil. $24,238 still dropping. $1.15 billion. They just went from almost neutral on the puts to 370 million, so they're back and forth here. What's the VIX doing today? VIX is up to 1522. They're up 3%. One confusing thing is how NASDAQ is that candle 23, but on MNQ it's 37. I mean, it's different traded. You know, it's going to have its own order book. It's going to be similar style price action, but obviously, you know, the points are going to be a little different. Twitter is trash, yep. What is going on here? We got 240 liquidity. It's all very, very light. So anything you see on Bookmap today, in my opinion, I would be very careful providing any confidence to it simply because it's so light. They could skew the book very easily when the book is this light. So just be careful. Here's another bounce recovery on NASDAQ. Again, if they can take out 258, 259 or so, then we're going to play 265, and if they take out 265, well, if y'all need to know what happens, just go back and look over the past 4 months. Let's see. NVIDIA is doing the same. Apple is rounding over and underperforming as usual. Microsoft is starting to fly. Amazon is flat. Meta, major green candle with a small top tick to hold. Google's starting to round over after a very green session. Tesla is just trimming down a little bit after an explosive open. They were up, what, 7.5% at one point? So, yeah. Save your powder for the week, baby. Get your one trade on, get your setup, and then save your powder for the rest of the week. It's going to be a fantastic week. I can feel it. I can feel it. This is going to be the best FOMC yet. I can feel it. It's going to be great. All right, we have, what, about 30 seconds until the next 5-minute algorithm. Let's see what happens with the next 5-minute algorithm to see if we open up a green or a red candle instantly. Why do you think this particular FOMC is going to be so great? One, because I'm reading the markets really, really well. I'm in that time, that place in trading where I'm reading things very, very well. So my personal confidence is very high. Two, I've got a good handle on the markets in terms of how things are, I think, are transitioning because I've been so patient. Because I haven't been shorting the crap out of everything the past 6 months and getting blown out, I am now ready to short. So, and that's the beautiful thing about only buying the dips is that when it does come time to short, you are so ready and you're so able to short that you can do it, and usually pretty successfully. Not to mention, everything is kind of pointing towards one situation here. Now, it's all a matter of time of a big rollover, and I do think that's coming soon. It could be this week, next week, whichever. It could even be the last week or the first week of October. But I'm not doing nothing until I see high volume. So me being patient for that high volume spike and the shenanigans that are baked into that is going to allow me to be very accurate. Now, in terms of FOMC in particular, the script usually plays exactly the same way. We have the first initial move, we have the J-Powell comments, which I think will drive a little bit more volatility than usual, and then we're going to have, 15, 20, 30 minutes after he starts yapping, we're going to have the official move. So we'll have the manipulation, and then we'll go into the actual structured move, and we will play that accordingly. And I think that's what we're going to take up. Here's another test of the 250. And all we need to do is get over 259, 260, and it's going to be rocket ships. if they can do it. There we go. I'm expecting the out-of-character the decision must have been leaked move. I don't know. Will the U.S. federal government ever commandeer chip production? I don't know. Who knows? Where can I get more info on the 5-minute algos? You can ask questions. I mean, I honestly don't really have a lot of literature to point you to other than Anna Coling's book, because she talks about, you know, that style of thing. But, you know, the algorithms run on a couple of different ways. Time-based, which means they are going to run until a certain time, certain candle, a certain price, or a certain amount of volume. So if you watch the 5-minute, it's the reason why traders get caught off guard when they're scalping, because we'll have a bearish sit up, a couple of red candles. The exact second this next 5-minute candle opens, you'll have this big blast engulfing green candle right at the next candle. Like literally, 5-minute tick over 1 second, boom, big green, and they'll get caught shorting at the very bottom of that candle. And because you're not paying attention to the 5-minute algorithms, now that's really only a scalping mechanism. And you could still you might be able to wait out the initial move and hold through that candle, sure, but that's the way algorithms work. High frequency algorithms. So just be aware of the time frame you're ending if you are scalping a short time frame trade. This month seems much like last December. The whole market wouldn't stop. The whole month was going to be the best December ever until the Fed meeting. Yeah, and like I said, you know, I know I was talking with Lowen earlier. I am only advising bearishness so much because I am super bearish on the market. I am only buying the dip because I am bearish. Because I know I'm a jabroni. I know I'm a typical retail trader. So because of that, I am telling myself, you are not allowed to short anything. Nothing. I don't care if somebody breaks into your home, puts a gun to your head and says, short, I'm going to blow your brains out. I'm going to say, sorry, I ain't shorting. And because of that, I've driven a lot of success. And because of that, I'm advising you all not to be so bearish, not to short anything. Because I get DM'd from people who short too much. I have people leave the server because they got blasted trying to short relentless bull trends. And when the time comes, we are going to short the crap out of this market, but only when we have a major 3C indication on the daily chart. That's right, Kyle. That's right. I've done way better since I stopped shorting. Depths, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I mean, look at this chart. It's nuts. Yeah, sure, there's plenty of scalp opportunities you could short in this. Plenty of them. But the pressure relief valve is turned to the upside here. When the short opportunity comes, it usually results in a great buying opportunity. You're exactly right, and that's exactly what I've been doing, waiting for those buy opportunities. All right, here's a next test into the opening high of 265. Watch the volume. If you get low volume, you know what happens. That's weird. Oh, that's why. Okay. What is a 3C indication? It is my system that stands for the 3 criteria, which is volume, wick, and price movement. It allows me to structurally identify a bounce or a short or a continuation through a zone. I have a YouTube video about it. Highly recommend you take a look. So companies are only reporting earnings every 6 months, pending SEC approval. That's what it looks like. Yeah. Haven't looked too much into it, though. If you got into the 1026 candle, I assume, all right, this one right here, 1026, okay. Would that downtrend a few minutes later have stopped you out? Not really. I mean, that was only a 15-point candle. I mean, if you're trading NASDAQ, you better be ready to absorb more than 15 points. That's just the nature of the beast, man. You're going to catch those candles. That's NASDAQ for you. NASDAQ is the crazy chick that's all tatted up with a nose ring. Like, she may be fun, but you're going to have to put up with some crazy. Now, if you want something, you know, relaxing, she ain't going to be as fun, but you know what? She's going to wear a sundress. She's going to make you bread, and she ain't going to go out going crazy on you. So, which is the S&P. Love bread. I love bread too. Yeah, it's good stuff. You ever had sourdough? Man. If you're a tatted chick with a nose ring, no offense, but you know, come on, you know you're crazy. Like a Spieth scorecard, yeah. Spieth may put up -8 on shoot 63 on a round, but he may throw in a 12 on you. Hey, look at that liquidity, 262. $262. Shaking and baking 249 here. We're going to see if we can grab something here, because they are shaking the tree right here. Bottom wick holding 250. $249, $250. There's got a big old set of liquidity there at 262. But I know better not to chase liquidity on a low liquidity day, so I'm going to focus on still what they're going to do with this price action. Shake out a little bit. Plus, that dude's been spoofing all morning, man. That dude's been spoofing all morning. $244. Still pressing lower. 242. 240. They're pressing it. Are they going to smash it again? RTY's had some crazy shakeouts. Yeah. Yeah. They just hammered it. 245. Back and forth. Very tight price action still. Five-minute is, I mean, a lot of top wicks on the 5-minute. A lot of top wicks on the 5-minute. They are shaking it out, baby. Shaking it out. Two, 4, 6, 2, 5, 0. Shakeout candles. Can you explain your definition or description of follow-on candle when it comes to the 3 C's? Yep. Do you wait for the follow-on candle close to the above high, or just wait for it to breach the prior high? Well, it really depends. It depends on confidence, location, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, the first 2 C's are technical. The third C is more of an art form based on your particular system. So it really depends on what you're looking for personally on the candles. They're just chilling right here. Big old green slapperoni candle right up in this area. Yeah, you're very welcome. I mean, do you want to go through an example? If you got some time, we can go through an example. Look at that, coming right up to the 262. No shorting. Taking anything from the VIX trending higher? Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. We knew that was going to happen. If you know what the VIX is going to be the hedging tool for the market. So it's not a fear index, although that's what's really it's called unofficially. It's a hedging tool. So the VIX tracks the options positioning for the S&P between 28 and 33 days out. Not the 0 DTEs. The VIX has been absolutely bottomed out to historically low levels from an IV perspective, not a posting perspective, not a spot perspective. The past couple of weeks, today being one of the lowest in history. So when that begins to happen, you have nowhere to go except a green VIX, green session. You have that anomaly where you have a green VIX that's uptrending with a green S&P that's uptrending. Normally when people see that, they don't know what to do. They usually see an inverse, green VIX, red S&P. That's happening because we have a very large volatile storm on the horizon. We have OPEC's VIXpiration and FOMC in a very dull market that's relentlessly bullish. Virtually saying we have absolutely no fear. We're not putting on any positioning, any long-dated hedges, any hedging we need to be done. We're doing it with short-dated options because options right now are about 73% of the entire option chain, 0 DT options. So they don't need to put on any kind of long-dated options simply because the market's relentlessly bullish on the macro. And all they have to do, if we have a red session, is put on a couple of 0 puts, take the profit, close it, sell the puts at the bottom, bounce the market, go higher, bada boom, bada bing, how's your mother? So now that we're at these lows, we're beginning to see some requirements, legally speaking and fundamentally speaking, that the hedge funds now have to start hedging their portfolios for the oncoming volatility that's coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Not to mention we have OPEX. We have an absolute crap ton of calls on the books that are drastically in the money. And it's going to drastically change the delta parameters that required of hedging when the market starts to move. Or roll off the books here in about 2 days. So the VIX is going to start to come higher alongside of the S&P as they're putting on the puts that they need to be put on with the volatility, and it's causing the green VIX, green S&P. Up, up, and up. So don't take that as a sign as we need to short the crap out of this because VIX is going green yet. Take it as the fact that we have volatility on the horizon and dealers needing to position themselves accordingly. And that's what's happening. NASDAQ says 24,493. I'm still on September contracts for now. I'm not switching over until TradingView switches over to December. When they do, I will. 257 coming up. Here's that liquidity 262, baby. Climbing through. 262. So they just caught everyone trying to short that. They tried to short that breakdown. Now they're getting caught with their pants down, and they're about to get punished for it. They'll probably take 262. They might even attack 270. But watch this liquidity right here on the books. It's going to happen quick, so keep an eye on it. It's going to happen quick. And they'll put on a little big absorption candle. A little big, yeah. They'll put on a little absorption candle here. Absorb 262. They'll probably take out 270 maybe as they build into this. Watch it. This is like what, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th time they've attacked 258, and they can't reject it with volume. So the sellers better step up their game, otherwise they're going to lose it. They're going to lose it for another 30 points. Still holding SPY 660 calls. Well, this is your make or break, in my opinion, 2-dub, right here. Volume at this level would indicate it's time to get out of calls. If they don't put on volume, if the sellers can't protect, then they're going to give up another rally here. So this is the time. Right here, 256, 257. Can they get that 260 realm? Right here is the liquidity. I'll put it on the charts here for representation. That's the 260 liquidity on the book. That's what they're dealing with right now. 24,260. Slow and tight, slow and tight. And they're adding to it. And they're adding to it. IAWM still has room to go higher. 244.98. It does if it goes to rate cuts. I don't know what's going to happen third time being up here. Yeah. I would keep a close eye on the emerging markets and small caps into and through FOMC into the end of the week. It's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. Are they going to do it here? What are they going to do? They're going to get it. You need the big green bubble. You need the big green bubble. You're going to see bleh, and you're going to see a big green candle, and people not in the know are going to be like, oh, what happened here? Holy crap. What'd that come from? Did Trump talk? And there's a big green candle. Shocking, right? Holy crap, how'd that happen? OMG. Wow, what happened? Whoa, hey, big green, whoa. Oh my gosh, it's such a big green candle. How did we not know that? $261. Fantastic. Look at the volume. That's right. All right, so, yeah, high volume top wick. High volume top wick. What does that mean? What does that mean? Do we get a 3C rejection after absorbing high volume or high level liquidity? We will see. Look at the volume. It's fantastic stuff, baby. Fantastic. All right, it is 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock Eastern, so I apply my lockout on my top step. I apply my lockout. So the top step is done. It's fantastic. Win rate as of this morning is 92.3%, but that is skewed. That doesn't count because I had a break-even stop 2 points in the money, and when it triggered, it counted it as a loss. So in pre-market, garbage. What is this? Yeah, I got you. Locking in 3,700 on gold. Nice. Look at the volume. That's right. It's fantastic. It's fantastic, baby. Ooh, that smell. Multiple top wicks right here with volume. We have a small increase in volume. Will we have a 3C top wick indication? I don't know. We got to trigger it on the 5. We got to trigger it on the 5. We will see. 262.50. Because of commissions? Yeah, commissions and just sim fills. Just terrible fills. 263, 264, 265. Just going higher. That is the highest volume candle of the day. So we'll see with the top wick too on the 1 minute, not on the 5, on the 1. So again, I am not doing any shorting. I am not doing any shorting, but just watch this to see how this price action plays out. Right now, I mean, look, the bulls can't give up. The sellers won't get anything here, won't get anything going, and it's just trickling higher. And if they take out this next step, there is nothing stopping them for another 30 points on NASDAQ. Here it goes. $266, $269. Any advice for blowing my first eval? Should I go back to paper trading for a while? It really depends on how you blew it. You know, if it's, I'd have to know more. Just take accountability and take notes for what went wrong. Did you max position size and blow it? Were you applying your system and you just happen to catch a run of bad losses? Whichever it is, figure it out. I don't know what your track record is like, that kind of stuff. So that's really up to you. Of the availability of funds to reset, that type of thing. In my opinion, paper trading is not a good indication of trading ability. You know, I could go right now and I could probably make $1 billion paper trading, but we all know that that is not a true representation of real trading. How long does it take to get access? Shoot me a DM in Discord and I'll get you hooked up. I'll need the email you use to sign up with. Thank you. Nice little rejection. Will the sellers finally be able to do anything with this price action? Anything with this price action? Right here. Thanks to your recent podcast about probabilities, has really calmed my mind the past 2 weeks. Beautiful. For anyone interested, there's a great book called Thinking in Bets, and it's a great resource. Nice. Thanks, King. Not trying to spam. If this is something you don't do, can you show how you played your trade? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Going to lock in a partial order of 12 points. Let the other run. Beautiful. Still coming off here. Red candles with a top wick. We have a decent 3C short setup coming up here. I'm not going to take it. I don't short. Not today. But there could be a good possibility of a short setup here, at least temporarily. There we go. Nice little red move. Beautiful stuff. High volume. Trust the process. Yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. And coming off. Yada, yada, yada. Two, 5, 4. Still coming off. Still coming off. Liquidity added 6606, 6605. Hold on, let me take a look. I wasn't even on ES. Yep, so 6605 put on a beautiful amount of liquidity. So far, 3Cs are setting up. I wouldn't call that a successful breakdown yet. Just a nice little setup. So, we haven't even closed the 5-minute candle yet. 2 more minutes. All right. Let's get you what you want. My entry was 24010. So obviously I waited till 9:45. That's 95% of the time I don't take a trade before 9:45. When I do, it's low positioning. So this price action rolled back over. Obviously I'm not doing any shorting. And by the way, I know I've said that about a billion times. And there's a couple of different opportunities to improve because of only doing longs and not shorting. One, obviously, is relentless bull market. But two, when you do short, even if you're right or you're wrong, you are now holding yourself up from taking long positions. Because it's very difficult to short and then bounce and then switch and go long. Very difficult to do that successfully, so I don't like to do that. So when you are short and you're right or wrong, it's providing you an opportunity cost from being long. But anyway, so the price action rolls over. Hits this 24,198 or so. We have a little bit of volume come into play here. This shows that we have some volume support. Price action starts to go green. Once we start to claim that prior high here, 24,210, is when I elect to get in this position. And we come back up all the way. We come to that 261 area, and then the top wick is actually what gets me out of the trade because if we're at 266 down to 246, 20 points. Me being in the ballpark that I'm not expecting breakouts or breakdowns today, that's where I elected to position myself up there. So it's all about playing the bottom wicks into support on this move, and then right here shows it on the 5-minute scale. Top wick, price action starts to climb once it takes out the 210, and we go. Now, the third C, it's a little bit different on how you can go about playing it. Obviously, the third C, because the rule is when the price action climbs over the prior close, which is here. That's the prior close, right? So technically, you could look to enter once we kind of climb over that 204, but I want to give it a little more oomph. So you can look at the open, 24.2. Really, the body of the candle is your gold mine there. Because if you can absorb the body of the candle, which is the vast majority of that price action, you can start to climb above. And then up we go. And I haven't touched anything since. Just been back and forth. Neo? Oh yeah, I love Neo. Neo's good stuff, baby. For me, paper trading is just holding me back. Better eval with only one MNQ. Yeah, low-key, just shoot me a DM if you haven't already. Is that you? Okay, yeah. All right, I'll get you set up. I got you. All right. That short bomb candle got nuked. Yep, it did. That's why I'm not shorting. That crap right there has been happening now for months. It's much more difficult to play the short side, so I'm not going to do it. You've got to be so incredibly accurate with short positions, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Like Frumple's having a heck of a time today. It's twice he shorted and is getting blown out. So it's hard to do. You got to be so incredibly accurate. Just rolling in from MMA. Got to roll for my first time in over a year. And although I was extremely rusty, it felt great. Heck yeah, baby. Gotta get out that toxic masculinity, man. It's good stuff. Did I watch the boxing fight? Negative. Negative. I finished putting in, installing a countertop in the laundry room. I built that out. I had to go to Lowe's, Bed Bath & Beyond, although I don't know if I had enough time. I could even make a trip to Home Depot. I don't get to watch a lot of sports, unfortunately. We're probably close to 1,000 points over the first time we wanted a short, thinking the top was in. Yeah, 100%. Every day I go back and look at the bounce that happened back in April, and I kick myself for not taking swing calls. It's horrible. It seems so obvious in hindsight. It's weird watching sports. All I can do is rate to trading. Yeah. VIX getting higher, right? So a move can further exceed expectation, whichever it breaks. Well, it's just showing, it's showing that we're expecting volatility expansion and a little bit more expansion on the negative gamma side of things. Have you ever swung a futures contract? Yeah, absolutely. That's a beautiful contract to swing too. If you like swinging plays and you don't want to do, it may be the stocks don't provide enough profit for you and the options are too much, go with futures. It's a fantastic vehicle to trade. Pays you a lot as long as you've got the capital to maintain the margin on it. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Time is it? We've got about 15 minutes left in the stream. Let me know if you have any questions. I was just thinking how crazy yeah, that was nuts, man. Can you go through? Can you go over the difference between a high volume breakout of congestion and the low volume test that Anna Coling talks about in her book? Yeah. So high volume does occur for breakouts. So the rules, obviously, just like everything in trading, is not ironclad. But usually that happen at a slightly different time. So if you're looking for a breakout through congestion, usually you want low volume. Price action climbs, breaks through it, low volume absorption, and we go on higher. If you see high volume, normally that's indication that it's time to start looking for rejection, because you've hit supply there. A little bit of a top wick there. If you do get a breakout with volume, you want to see that volume hit. You want to see that volume hit right after you go through that supply. Right after you go through that supply. They weaponize zeros to kill the IV. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Yep. That's exactly why that the IV is getting plummeted, is because they're piling into the options so much that the IV is just plummeted to the ground. It's thrown us into a deep, deep positive gamma environment, which means any kind of red the dealers are going to buy, any kind of green the dealers are going to sell, and it keeps us constrained in a slow upward trajectory that's very tight, very slow, and relentless. And until that changes, aka this week, next week, the way it's going to remain. Earlier, you mentioned that going into today, you weren't expecting any major breakouts in either direction. What led you to that? Was it the macro back? Just simply the tightness of the IV suggested that we're not going to get a major breakaway. We might get a bull trend, but it's not going to be one of these blast-off green days, nor were we going to get any kind of selling today. And that's simply just derivative of my analysis in the pre-market through the option chain. Think NASDAQ wants to tap VWAP? I don't know. I bet you VWAP was what? At about 223? 220? Just made me realize that as traders, we have to treat this like a craft that needs to be practiced with discipline, even if the improvement is marginal. Absolutely. Process over profits. Process over profits. I want to know about your process, not about your profits. What makes you get into an entry? What makes you think about an entry, other than my gut feeling? So far, the high volume spike at 11 o'clock is proving to be successful. It's just taken a while to come back off. I prefer not to use that as an indication to get entry. Roaring Brewski. Oh my gosh. That's my process. Trying to understand a margin requirement of 3,300 per NASDAQ with a tick of 50 cents. With a tick value of 50 cents. Do I need to move up to the minis to make it more worthwhile? No. No. No, 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 no. So one point of NASDAQ MNQ is $2 per point. That comes out to 50 cents a tick. NASDAQ bigs are 20. Minis are 20 bucks. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but when NASDAQ puts on 20, 30 point candles in a blink of an eye, that all of a sudden becomes a nice amount of money. Especially if you're on your own personal account. You should not, if you have a personal account, you should not even think about touching the NASDAQ minis unless you've got $350,000 in your account. Don't get caught into the fly trap, man. Prop firms have desensitized people to trading minis, myself included. Red candles, 3 C's. Highest volume candle of the day so far is noting the top of the market. Why? Because we have an obvious supply sitting right here. There's your supply. Every time I hear about micros versus minis, I think of Trader J's chart. Yeah, he changed his trading by only going to minis, to micros. Absolutely. For sure. $22,000. 24,245. Still coming off here. $241. Still absorbing lower. Looking nice. Looking nice. Beautiful stuff. $6615 on ES. They do have that big old fat liquidity into 6604. And they're just kind of hanging out. Just very slow. Very slow. 2424. We'll see what they want to do. ES is what, 6615 or so? $66.05, if they were to fill that, would bring us down below the morning low. That would be a setup changer. That would be a game changer here that we would need to be pay close attention to if they were to grab that 66.05. That would come with very strict ramifications to fill that liquidity. $17. Bouncing back up. High volume bounce, 617.50. Coming back up. On the note of a buddy a while back, I looked at the prop firm Lucid, and they're running a pretty good sale for debuting X platform. Did some due diligence, crept in the Discord, saw some pretty good reviews and some comments on their fantastic support. No payout shenanigans. Gave them a try. Rules seem comparable to most other props. I do have minimal trading days, unfortunately. Nice. Very cool, Twizzy. Awesome stuff. Well done. Lucid Training. Yeah, I've seen that name around. I just never tried them out. High volume inflow there. Small green candle. Creeping on back up. NASDAQ there too. Range bound. Range bound. China's top trade negotiators said they've reached a framework agreement on TikTok. Interesting. Interesting. $24.25275. But we're coming up on the end of the stream here. I don't anticipate taking any more trades today. I've already got my licks in. I don't expect much else. Going back green big time after that high volume bounce. Coming all the way up. NASDAQ is about to take out high of the day. ES, I'm sure, will follow suit after a beautiful high volume bottom wick. Of course, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, and going strong. They're about to pound the people shorting into new highs. Look at the bounce. Heck yeah, man. Over and over. Overall, they're great. Only downside to DLL. Yeah. They should take out the highs? Yeah. Yep. $66.19.25. 624.262 and going. I hacked my brother and disabled the sell, my broker and disabled the sell button. I love it. Do it. It's a fantastic thing. If that was true. You're waiting in patience. That's right. Waiting in patience. All right, we have European close here in about a minute. Any questions before we wrap this baby up? They made a movie about him? About who? Ah. $66.16 ES, 24.253 NASDAQ. Padre Pio. Yeah. Is this going to be a double bounce for higher? What are they going to do? NASDAQ is still holding the top, baby. We'll see. I want y'all to keep an eye on that 66.05. That is a very significant area. That will change the scope of the charts if that were to hit. Reason being, you'll take out the morning low. You'll take out the morning low if you feel that, so keep an eye on it. May take all day. It may be a power hour thing. It may happen in the next 10 minutes. I don't know. But that is a significant event. All right, there's European close. We're still chilling. All right, y'all, any questions? We're going to wrap this baby up. Been a pretty good day. I'd say it's a pretty good day. So far, thesis working out perfectly. So I'm happy with all that. 15-minute candles are brutal. Yeah, this environment's going to be brutal, dude. This whole thing is going to be brutal. Not until Wednesday. Tomorrow we might get an uptick, but most likely it's going to be Wednesday to finally release us from the bounds of market dullness, of the zombie market that Spot Gamma calls it. The zombie market. So there's a little bit of red. Very small, wee amount of red. How you doing? You're welcome, Mojo. Appreciate you being here. You're welcome, Vampire. So, all right, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of the day. Please, please, please do not get chopped up playing this crap. Please. You have a whole bunch of volatility coming this week. This is the final day of the zombie market for at least the next week or so. So why fight it? Just you have to wait one more day, and then you'll get a little volatility. So I cannot help you if you don't listen to the things I talk about. Hope you have a good rest of the day. I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for a fantastic session. Y'all have a good day. I'm out. See you.